Welcome back, folks, to another episode of the Samong Yang Outdoors podcast. Not very often do you see this podcast filmed outside of our studio, but today we're once again outside the studio. So for those of you listening on an audio streaming platform like Spotify, it doesn't really matter to you. But if you're watching on YouTube, we're not at the studio. Instead, we're here at Mr. Austin Harris's shop once again. And this time we're a little bit 180'd. Last time we were looking at his wall of mega mule deer. Today, we're flipped on the other side looking at his mega bear. And Austin and I, we were kind of talking about the podcast before it started. I hope none of you have ADHD or OCD of any kind because the bear's a little uneven.
It's a little lopsided on the front legs.
Adam, if you're watching this,
cut me some slack.
Austin promises to bring you his animals for the rest of his life because I know for a fact that Adam would never let that slide. Now, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt that the reason why this bear is left lopsided like that is because the taxidermist just wanted the bear to show as big of his size as possible. So if he started trimming it out...
To be fair, I did emphasize, this bear is a giant. Please don't trim back a bunch of stuff. So maybe it's my fault.
So maybe he was a good taxidermist, but he was just listening to the orders.
Could be. And he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. Well, anyway, folks, we're going to jump into the normal stuff here. And first things first, I want to thank our sponsor. First one, Vortex Optics. Folks, if you guys are new to hunting or you're experienced hunting and you want to either buy your first pair of optics, binoculars, rifle scopes, spotting scopes, or you're an experienced hunter and you want to just up your game, check out vortexoptics.com. They are the optics that I've used for many, many years, and I just can't recommend them enough. If you shop at Euro Optic, that's EURO optic.com, you can save on all Vortex optics if you use code SY10. Also, Onyx Hunt, this is my personal mapping software that I use whenever I do e-scouting, or I'm actively in the field using the GPS to mark my pins as well as I'm traveling from my starting point to these pins that I have previously marked on e-scouting. And this app is just absolutely essential to my back pocket. It tells you everything about private land boundaries, public land boundaries. So we often put an emphasis on where you can hunt, which is public land. But just as importantly, it also tells you where you cannot hunt. So no trespassing on private property and whatnot. You can use code SY20 at onyxhunt.com to save on your subscription. Last, Tacticam. These are our personal favorites when it comes to cellular trailcams. With today, we scout, we put a trailcam, and with the service, basically when an animal comes by the camera, it pings and it sends it straight to our phone, so we don't have to use effort, time, or money to go constantly check up on these cameras. And my personal favorite is the Reveal Pro 3. It has an LCD screen, so if you forget your SD card reader, you can just look through your camera gallery right on that trail cam. Austin uses a handful of them too.
This isn't a plug for them. I have 5 or maybe 8 boxes of brand new ones sitting on the shelf in my gear room now.
That's a good man right there. Tacticam, cream of the crop, man. Cell cams, look into them.
I've used competitors' cams since 2013. This is the first year I ran Tacticams, and I will say that the audio and video quality of them are excellent.
See, folks, take it from somebody who's not even working with them. That's just true. He could have said anything you wanted. I mean, if he said negative, I would have cut it out. But since it's positive, I'm going to leave it in there. I'm just kidding. But in case you're new here, I actually filmed a podcast with Austin a few months back. And in that episode, if you want to learn how to kill big Washington bucks and just kind of the tips and tactics from somebody who has a 200-inch Washington public land mule deer hanging on his wall. That's an episode or a podcast that you should check out. But today we're diving into something from the left field. This is not specific to an animal or a hunt. This is a little bit more broad.
But it's very relevant.
Very relevant.
Oh.
Every single aspect, it doesn't matter what hunt you do, whether it's waterfowl or sometimes the little stuff, squirrel and grouse hunting, or you can go big, elk hunting and moose hunting. And that topic today is choosing a good hunting partner. One of the things that I feel like I've taken for granted throughout my life is just the opportunity to hunt with people, because the more I've done this, like I do have people reaching out and they're like, man, like nobody in my family hunts. I have no friends that hunt. And really, if I want to hunt, I got to go do it alone. And the more I thought about it, I was like, man, it really is a luxury to just, have so many people that are into hunting. It's like, you don't really ever feel like you're out of options if you wanted somebody to tag along your hunt, right? But that's just from my angle. I know, for example, you, preluding, Austin spends a lot of time alone. And
yeah, most of my hunts are solo.
And there's a good reason for that, as we will get into here. And that is just because hunting partners, they're just not that easy to come by.
Yeah, you have to be paralleled. Your hunting styles have to be very similar. And depending upon the type of hunt, your skill sets and your experience needs to be very similar.
Exactly. But before we get into that stuff, folks, you guys know what time it is. It is Trivia Duel. Austin, he knows the game. And so, folks, if you guys are not watching, I forgot to say, Nate is not here with us. It is just myself and Austin once again. So Nate's sitting this one out. And maybe next time when I do a third one with Austin, Nate will be here with us. With that said, Austin and I, we're going back to the battlefield of Trivia Duel. So, you want to kick it off? You seem very antsy about your Trivia Duel, so I'll let you go first.
I really like this one, so I hope you get it.
Okay. Is it a multiple choice?
No. I'm going to make you work for it, and then I'm going to give you a 3-part answer. So it is a little bit of a trick question, and then I'll give you the breakdown answers, but I'll answer the big picture question, which is what I'm going to ask you here first.
All right, hit me.
This is nationwide. On average, how many stalks does it take to successfully harvest a mule deer buck? This is covering all weapon types. So you really got to margin it.
You found a statistic on mule deer stalks?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask what source you found this from?
I'm going to give you that after. You answer the question, and then I'll give you my whole list of disclosures. Because I'm not saying that this is right on the money, but this doesn't surprise me.
Okay, so you're saying how many tries on average does it take to kill a mule deer buck? All weapons.
All weapons.
Combined.
Archery, muzzleloader, modern firearm.
I'm going to go off and say, because I never blow a stock, man. I'm 100%.
Well, you're Samal.
Yeah, so I skew the numbers a little bit. I'm just kidding, folks. I've always failed my stocks. I'm going to go ahead and say 15.
I don't know if these are accurate, but this is according to ChatGPT. So take it for what it's worth.
Okay.
All right. And they even do put a disclaimer in here. But it says, on average, if you consider all the weapon types, it takes 4 to 7 stalks to successfully, legally harvest a mule deer buck. Then it goes on to say, this is only a rough guide and is based on hunter experience and conditions. But beginning hunters may take 10 plus stalks to kill their first mule deer buck. Experienced hunters will often need 3 to 5 plus stalks to still kill their buck. And backcountry or archery hunters, this is actually the archery hunting line, will take 7 to 15 plus stalks.
Oh.
So it gives you kind of a range and qualifies that number. But then when you average all of these out, and you're talking like probably a lot of Midwest whitetail tree stand hunting and stuff in there, that's not necessarily a stock, but it's a harvest. So I think maybe this number gets skewed through ChatGPT that way. But what I found was the archery, they say, depending upon your experience level, you're going to need 17 to 15 plus stalks to kill a mule deer buck with a bow.
Okay, so my answer of 15 was pretty spot on for a bow.
For a bow, yeah, 100%.
I just figured, I mean, obviously with a rifle, your odds are just way higher.
Way higher. So that skews the number down. But if we were talking archery, I think it's really true. Because I know for me personally, I'm no hunting guru. Yeah, I have some bucks here. But I haven't killed a ton of stuff with a bow. I think last year I had three animals harvested with a bow in 2024, 3 with a rifle. And my Washington mule deer buck, mind you, I passed on a lot of bucks in the early season, but I killed on the 9th stock. So I failed 8 times before I killed.
You were below average. I mean, you were above average. So you took less tries to successfully kill with a bow.
I guess, yeah.
Impressive.
I mean, I could have killed multiple bucks earlier in the season, which would have made my stock, because I was in bow range like but never knocked because it was just in a buck I wasn't interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a really cool
That's a great fact.
ratio to look at and be
Yeah.
like, wow. I mean, it takes some serious work to kill a mule deer buck with a bow.
Yeah, that's a great little question.
So you pretty much nailed that one when you're talking archery, almost like on the money.
Yeah. What am I? 0 for 1? I'm 0 for 1 on my stalks, but that's not mule deer. I have never stalked a mule deer with a bow. I've stalked with the whitetail.
Not to distract you, but what's harder to kill with the bow, mule deer or a whitetail buck?
I don't know, but I got very close. I on my first ever whitetail stalk, I got to fling 2 arrows. I just missed.
So you're above average at stalking, but then you were below average at shooting.
Yes. So my stalking skills are great, but my execution is just not it. But in my defense, though, it was a really tricky situation. Like I had 2 little bucks, 2 little whitetails, and this is essentially a very flat spot. Like it's just a wide open field, but along the middle, like there's like these 4-wheeler roads that they drive in on, and so like you have the field, but then on those roads, it's like elevated about 5 feet. And so you have like, imagine like you have 4 quadrants and there's like a cross of roads. And so like if you're standing in the wheat fields, you can't necessarily see over to the other ones because it's blocked by those roads. And this is Montana. So after my archery outcome last year with my buddy that lives in Montana, he's like, dude, like if you just want to run down to just like right outside town, like there's a little spot where there's flooded with whitetails, but it's extremely hard because it's archery only, it's open field, like it's spawn stock only. And I was like, yeah, like we ain't got nothing better to do, so let's go and do it. And so the moment we roll up there, like there's just deer everywhere in the fields. I glassed up this 4-point buck just working his way across. I actually put a stock on him, but then as I'm going in, I was doing the stock right, but he eventually hopped the fence onto another piece of private where I couldn't access. And so I'm like, dang it. I texted my buddy. He's like, he's gone. And he's like, oh, turn around. There's like 3 bucks behind you. So I turn around and sure enough, there's like 3 bucks in the other quadrant. And so with how it works, it's like, again, you can use that road in the middle as like a cover. So I snuck in and I'm like crawling so that they can't see me skyline. And as I'm approaching that road, they're only like maybe 30 yards on the other side of the road.
So you had a visual break the entire time you were hiding behind.
Yes.
So that's kind of like cheating.
Yes. But then when I got there, like I can hear them like fighting. They were sparring. So I can hear the antlers like, just going off on each other. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Like that means their heads are down because this is like tall grass, right? And so I'm like, if their heads are down, that means that they're not paying attention and their view is blocked. So I get up on this road and I can see them. They're like sparring. And I'm ranging. I'm like, that's way too far. So I'm literally, as they're sparring, I'm just walking on this road, as obvious as day, just walking, like creeping my way up. And at one point, I'm like, all right, what is too close? And so I'm like, all right, he looks close enough. So I go to range and I'm ranging like 20 yards. And
wow.
And then I'm ranging again. Like, because my rangefinder with the Vortex Razor 4000, you can just hold on it and it's automatically like giving you a new scan. I'm getting 20 yards, 38 yards, 62 yards, 27 yards. And I'm like, wait a minute.
You're picking up grass in between.
Yes,
him and
because
you.
the grass is moving back and forth. And so I'm like, what in the world is this? So earlier before we left, my buddy Ma, he was like, you got to really be good at just like judging through the eye. And so my rangefinder is just like doing all this weird stuff. So I put the rangefinder down. I'm looking at it. I'm like, he looks about 35, 40 yards. I'm like, that's perfect. I was drilling 60 yards at his house before I left. So I go to full draw and they're perfectly broadside. And so I have a 3-pin. I have a 20, a 30, 40-yard pin. I just put the 40-yard pin on this left side or this left buck. He's a nice little 4-key with eye guards, 3x3. And I shoot and my arrow just sails right over his back. And they're still sparring as I shoot. So they pick up their heads. They jump like 5 yards and they're looking around like, what is going on? So I crouch. I knock a second arrow. I'm like, I have no idea what just happened. I think I just smoked him. The arrow just flew right through his lungs or something. And I'm looking at him, waiting for this animal to just like tip over or something. And then he turns around, like, because he was now quartering away. He turns broadside. He starts stomping. Like, what was that? And I'm like, all right, I guess I just messed up. So I was like, he was originally 40 yards. He's probably 50 yards by now.
Did you ever range a second time or no?
Nope, because I didn't want to move because I was skyline. So I go to draw a second time. And this time, like, he looks up at me and he's broadside. And I'm like, all right, 50 yards. I practice 50 yards. You put your 40-yard pin on his spine. I shoot and that thing goes right over his back. And I'm like, what in the world? Well, it turns out the buck was like 21 yards, and I aimed for 40. So, long story, long trivia duel here. But yes, I missed the buck twice last year. And he ran out to 100 yards and just stared at me until the sunset. And I was like, screw it, you guys. I quit. So, There you go. That was never exposed on YouTube because that was just an afternoon, like, let's just go do something type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm 0 for 1. Well, with that said, my question to you is a cougar kills an animal about every 7 to 12 days on average. How many pounds of meat does an adult cougar on average consume every time it visits a kill?
It visits a kill. Okay. I'm going to say 20 pounds.
Final answer.
I'm sticking with it.
You nailed it. That is the literal exact number that they average it. So every time a cougar makes a kill or it revisits a kill site, it consumes on average about 20 pounds of meat.
That's a lot of meat.
So one step further, on average per year, one cougar can consume anywhere between 2,600 and 5,200 pounds of meat. One cougar.
So they're technically on a carnivore diet.
Pretty much. Yes. I mean, that's what they kind of are. But yeah, that's a lot of meat.
Wow.
Just think, like, that's essentially 3-4 grown bull elk per one mountain lion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you nailed the question.
I mean, I don't claim no fame on that one. That was just a guess. But the educated version I got from that was your last question a while back on the other podcast we did together when you said that a grown mule deer
Consumes about 6 to 8% of their body weight.
Yeah, and I was like doing math in my head. I'm like, you said adult, and that was what triggered me. An adult, and I was thinking of male cougar, so I just shot for a little bit high.
Well, there you go. Folks, we hope you guys enjoyed that one. That was a very elaborate
That was a long
trivia
one.
duel. If you guys have questions for this game or fast facts, shoot us an email at triviaduel@syoutside.com. That's TRIVIADUEL at syoutside.com. Well, with that said, Austin, a good hunting partner. Now, to prelude or to give context to those of you who don't know Austin, as we mentioned at the beginning, Austin is what I would consider a solo hunter. For the vast majority of his excursions that he does every year, he's alone for the most part. And that's not to say that he hasn't hunted with people. You've clearly hunted with a lot of people. In fact, for the first time ever, we finally linked up and got to hunt together in 2025. It's been a long time coming. But why do you not hunt with anybody? Why are you a solo hunter when you have all these people hitting you up? Hey, take me bear hunting or take me deer hunting.
Yeah.
What's the short answer?
The short answer is, we're just going to be brutally honest here. The short answer is you got to find somebody who is on the same intensity and drive level for the hunt that you're going to do. And a lot of people don't want to go steep and deep, like way nasty country. I mean, let's face it, you just have different grades of your hunting career or just, I guess, experience. And so, yeah, I mean, I think experience is a big factor. Like a brand new hunter is probably not going to want to go with me on a 10-day backcountry hunt 21 miles in on foot.
Yes.
I don't recommend it, honestly. I don't think it's a great place to learn. So I think just their overall experience level, and I think drive, mental fortitude is huge. And just compatibility, man. Like you have to mesh, especially if we're talking backcountry hunts, living out of a backpack.
This is a topic where I think is not really talked about. Like it's often small talk between hunting buddies and whatnot, but like on a public level, I think there's obviously some conversation about it, but I feel like there's not enough attention being brought to this specific topic. And the reason why I bring it up is because who you hunt with can really ruin your hunt. Or on the flip side, it can really make your hunt. When you go hunting with the wrong person, it just sometimes, especially for people who are just getting into hunting, it can really ruin them to the point where they're like, I don't ever want to go hunt again because it was that miserable. And as sad as that sounds, it's true. I know a lot of people where their only reason why they quit hunting was because the people that they were hunting with did not make hunting an enjoyable thing, or it made it a very, very miserable thing. Or
you're saying like they were just too intense or too over the top and they were trying to learn and this person pushed them too hard to where they just lost interest.
Sometimes it's about intensity. Sometimes it's just about doing weird, shady stuff. So, for example, we'll get to some examples here, but one of my good friends, he was kind of, again, when he started hunting, like a lot of people, he didn't really know anybody that hunted. And so he somehow got a hold of, I believe, just a loose friend at that time. And his loose friend's like, hey, we're going to go elk hunting up here. Do you want to join? And he's like, oh, that sounds fun. And he goes with them, and he's carpooling with them. And they get up there, and these guys are just smashing beers, smashing alcohol. They get to camp, and they're doing all the party stuff. And it's like 10 o'clock at night. They get in the truck. They're like, hey, let's go hunting. It's 10 o'clock at night. And so my buddy is like, oh, I like, what? Okay, so he's like, all right, well, I'll just join. So he gets in the car, and like there's 4 other dudes in the car. And they're just like bombing down the road. Just like.
Essentially hunting in the headlights?
Basically, just like hunting in the headlights, slamming. Like they're drunk, obviously.
Yeah, that's
and
a
my
hard no.
And my buddy was like, I'm legit going to get killed out here. Like they're literally taking me somewhere where they're going to slaughter me. And never again did he ever go back hunting with him, obviously, right? And then he comes back and he kind of just, I mean, good for him that he actually stuck with hunting. He's like, this is actually something I wanted to do. Obviously, he never went back with those people, right? And then he just started hunting by himself, and eventually he got his dad to eventually come along with him from time to time. But I use that as example is because that could have easily turned my buddy just like, if this is what hunting is.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it was a terrible example.
Yeah, because I mean, think, this guy is like fresh to hunting. He has no idea what hunting is.
Yeah.
And these people who are taking him, they have the special opportunity to show him what hunting is. And they showed it in a light where it's just terrible.
Yeah.
Where it's not even hunting. That's poaching at that point. You cannot legally
There's a lot
hunt.
of things at that point. Drinking and driving and loaded firearms and hunting at night. I mean, that's a big ticket.
It is. And so, needless to say, he's since then really smartened up about who he's just going to go hunting with. But the reason why I bring that up is because it's really relevant to the conversation that we're about to have here is from the perspective of somebody that's trying to get into it. As somebody who's hunted my whole life, I guess you can put myself in the mentorship side of things where I'm the mentor and I'm sometimes taking a mentee. There's a lot of responsibilities on my shoulders to show this person that this is what hunting is. This is how great hunting can be.
Sure.
And this is, how you should approach it or how I would like to approach it, right?
Well, when you sign up for that and you agree, okay, I'm going to take whether it's a late onset hunter or it's a young juvenile hunter, when you agree to that and you take that step, you own a responsibility to portray hunting in a good light. And if you're going to take a mentorship responsibility, you want to groom this person to become an ethical, responsible hunter, to value the species, to be a conservationist. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And like, obviously that story that you just told, that could have set that guy good on him that he made the right decision, but he could have set him on a crash course for, this is all there is to it. It's just road hunting and drinking beers. I mean, and there's a lot of guys who do it and they give us a bad name, and we've got to be that other side that's outspoken.
And the worst yet is he could just be, this is hunting. This is awesome.
That's what I'm getting at.
Let me just become just like this.
Exactly.
Drinking and driving at night, headlighting animals and shooting them and, all that stuff. Obviously, we're telling that story of exactly what not to do.
Well, then that's an extreme, right? I think that's a very small percentage of people, but unfortunately, there is that percentage out there. But mentorship is a great thing. It's also a catch-22, and let's be honest, because there's a level of commitment that it takes, and if you are, like you, a very committed hunter, you know that when you go on one of those first-time mentorship hunts, it's a different hunt for you. It doesn't matter that you're super experienced. You're going to have to dial the game back, and you're going to have to come at it with a different mindset. For me, I've had this mistake that I made with my daughter. I mean, I'm just being open. Last year, I took her on a whitetail hunt to Idaho. She was freshly turned 11. Like, we went right to her birthday was right in that week. I got to remember that I'm not solo hunting in the backcountry, and I've got this drive to go until something's on the ground. I needed to back off a little bit and become more like mentor-minded and make this a good learning experience that she's going to want to do again and again, regardless if she's successful or not. And honestly, the first couple days, I was getting too amped up as far as not amped up, like say in the moment of trying to harvest an animal, but just anxious over the whole target acquisition and getting out and the slowness of the shot setup. And then I got like my wife was reminding me, it was a family hunt. It was a fun hunt. One of my favorite hunts of the year. And we didn't even harvest a deer, but I learned a lot about me. And I had to take a step back and be like, if I'm going to be a mentor, this is going to be a completely different hunt. I got to dial it back. And what my goal is out of this hunt is I need to deliver a good experience that when this hunt is over, this youth, obviously this was my daughter in this scenario, whether she harvests or not, it was going to enjoy the time in the field, was going to respect and value the resource, and at the end of the day would want to do it again. And so after day 2, my wife was like, you're a little intense for an 11-year-old. Like, we could probably dial it back a little bit. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And so we did. And you know what? The rest of the hunt was great. She got to go on 7 spot and stalks. We didn't harvest a buck, but she had a lot of fun day 3 and 4.
Yeah. And I think, as you said, you didn't kill one on that hunt. But I think for her specifically, she really learned the true values of hunting. And the most important one is that most of the time you're not successful.
Well, she said that as much. Driving all the way home from Idaho, she's like, you know, Dad, I never realized it. I just see you go hunting and I take it for granted. Like you go hunting and you're gone X amount of days or whatever. And at the end of the year, you're usually bringing multiple animals home. She's like, I didn't realize that there's a lot of days where you don't get one.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, there's way more days that I come hiking back to a tent with a tag in my pocket than days that I punch a tag.
That's right. And those are important lessons to learn.
And she realized that. She's like, wow, I had this perception that you just go out and you harvest your animal.
Yep.
I didn't realize the effort and the work that it takes. So I think conveying the art of hunting in the proper light is very imperative to mentoring somebody.
Exactly. And that's why choosing the right partner is so impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you have a story to tell me and tell us about why you kind of became a solo hunter and just kind of ditched I need a hunting partner.
The crazy thing is we have hunted some of the same country without knowing it and danced all around each other for years.
If you don't know, Austin's referring to him and myself.
Correct.
So Austin and I, we share a great region of overlap of where we have essentially his stomping grounds is my stomping grounds, but we somehow have never like actually ran into each other.
And I don't know how.
Yeah,
I mean, that area, like there's not very many places that you could run around and not bump into somebody.
Yeah, because you've been hunting that area for like what?
I hunted 2013 to 2019 in that area.
Yeah, and my family's been hunting that area for like 37 years. And so for whatever reason, we just never ran into each other. But
I guess I was always in the woods.
Yes.
I never would do the, just road drive game.
Yeah, that's all I do, folks. I just road hunt. That's why I never saw him. I always saw his rig. That's what I saw.
That's not what I was insinuating.
No, I'm just kidding. I just had to throw you off the loop there.
Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, we went on a hunt. I was invited to go to what I call Fat Boys Camp. That's what everybody dubbed it. The whole RV gamut.
Mm-hmm.
Just park on the side of a logging road in a nice little camp pull-out setting on National Forest, and everybody sit around the fire on the night before opener and try to find out where you're going. And I'm like, this is weird. And it was like top secret. Like nobody wanted to tell nobody where they were going.
Even though this is a deer camp that everybody is intimately relationship with.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all like, I'm not telling you.
Top secret, man. I got a honey hole that I'm going to.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh, this is how deer hunting works. Like I'd never done this before like this in this setting.
This was your first time joining an actual like party, like a camp.
Like 5-6 trailer camp.
Okay.
Yeah. Multiple families. Great people. Good people. Still know them all to this day. Love them.
We're preluding it. Sometimes a great person does not mean a great hunting partner. Go on.
So we go out hunting and do a first morning glass.
You're with one person?
I'm with one person.
Okay, so you're partnered up.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm partnered up. First time hunting with this partner.
Okay.
We do the whole morning hunt, and about 8:30, 9 o'clock, all right, it's time to head back for lunch. I said, wait, what? Yeah, we always do lunch. You can't kill a deer between, like 9:30, 10, 11 at tops. It's dead. And you can just go back and we'll have lunch or whatever, and then we'll head back out for the evening hunt. Like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, I guess. Okay. So we did that for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
And nobody's killing a deer.
Nobody's killing a deer. And I'm like, all right, well, how about we just hunt a little bit later today? How about we don't just glass from off the road? How about we hike in? How about we still hunt some timber or something? Like I came here to hunt. I took time off work. Let's just...
Because what are you guys doing? Like, how are you guys actually hunting? Are you guys just literally driving?
No, we weren't road hunting. We would drive to a spot that we thought was good. This is before I ever had Onyx or anything. And I'm just like, well, I think this one looks good. Like, I wasn't a great hunter back then by any means, man. I was learning. So we just start hiking, bump into another hunter, and he's down off the road 250 yards. And we talk for a while. He's like, it's midday. I'm heading back to camp. This is an unrelated person. We didn't know him. We head down, move into some timber. I see a big group of does on the side of this. You got to imagine a steep slope with a bunch of finger draws that are just almost like a saw, just up, down, up, down, up, down.
Very small draws.
Very small finger draws is what I call them, but just like teeth on a big old saw. It's just a super steep slope, and then these little finger draws, one after the other after the other. Well, the does are on the right side of this draw, and there's nothing on the left side. So I told this guy, you go on the left side of that, so you're out of sight of the does. I'll get one complete ridge over, and I'll go on the other side. So we're essentially on the draw on each side. I'm on the right side. He's on the left side of this draw. We're walking down.
And the deer in the middle.
And the deer on the middle draw. And I said, when we get to about where they are, we'll come over and we'll look in there and see if we can pick up a buck. Because there was some brush and stuff, and they were bedded up, but we could pick out at least 7. It's all does. So I'm about halfway up my draw, and I just hear it open up like the 4th of July. I mean, talking 4 shots. I'm thinking, wow, something's down.
And your partner is shooting.
Oh, it's very close, and it's right on that direction.
And you hear 4 gunshots from him.
4 gunshots.
Okay.
And so I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I run up to the top of the ridge, and I'm looking down there, and the does are blowing out down the bottom. And I'm like, where is he? Where is everybody? Like, there's nothing here. And then all of a sudden, over the ridge from the draw, he went down, comes this slammer buck. And I say slammer buck because for Washington, I showed you the picture of it.
Yes, it's a slammer buck.
164 and 5/8, heavy beams. That's a good buck for Washington.
On public land on General's tag.
Correct. Anyway, he comes bombing over the ridge and dives down into this draw and stops about where all the does were bedded. And here I am with a 300 Win Mag, and I'm all huffing and puffing because I just raced up this face and looked down and I see him. So I just offhand pull up and take a shot.
How far?
Later when I ranged, I think I'm ashamed to say it was probably 107.
So he's close.
Close. Like no reason I shouldn't have hit him.
Yep.
But when you got a backpack on your back and you're heaving and breathing and you have an unsteady shot, like it can happen.
Yep.
So I moved like 5 feet to my right and leaned up against the tamarack tree.
And the buck is still standing there?
And the buck is still standing there, and he's looking up the ridge towards where the shooter was at, where he ran from.
So he's looking back towards your partner.
Correct.
Even though you just completely whiffed one right next to him.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and remind you, he's down in the draw, down in the bottom of the draw.
And you're on top.
Yep. And so I'm shooting down into this draw, and he's looking oblivious to me. So I jack another one, move 5 feet over, lean up and brace into a tamarack, and I high shouldered him up in the back of the shoulder area and just pancaked him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was down. And then my partner comes over the top, asks, did you get him? I said, yeah, he's dead right down there. I'll hike down my side, had a little bit more of a distance to get to the buck. So he got to the buck first. Side note, buck was still kind of twitching, but he wasn't going nowhere. He was dead.
Yep.
Pulls out a 9mm and smokes him through the throat. I'm like, okay. And then pulls out his tag, and I'm just now coming up to the buck and getting ready to tag the deer. And I'm like, I shot that deer.
And your partner's already tagging him.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, it goes by first blood. I shot that deer a few times. I'm like, well, he looked like he came over the ridge under his own power very well, like he was running. And he obviously came up the ridge and then came down. And he's like, no, and he proceeds to tag. And I said, well, let's just look for bullet holes. Like, are you sure you even hit him? 4 shots, we found one hole right in front of his back legs through the belly about an inch or maybe inch and a half high. Just a skin burn. Like it literally went above the belly skin and right through him. Very, very non-lethal shot. So I don't know what you do in that situation. And I've heard people argue it both ways. I've heard people say, whoever puts it down, is that if I would have shot, that buck would have been in the next county.
Yep.
Nobody would have retrieved that deer. So anyway, yeah, I was a little like frustrated, but I was newly invited to this camp, staying with them.
You're the guest.
I'm the guest. And so I just said, okay.
So you're watching this guy who shot 4 times at this Masher 160s buck.
Mm-hmm.
He looks completely unscathed. You hammer him, and you know you hammered him on that last shot because it's a high shoulder. A deer is not running from a high shoulder shot, so you know that's the last shot that put him down.
That deer died in his tracks. Like he went boom, pancaked.
And the only other bullet hole besides your high shoulder shot, and I guess the one he put in his throat with a 9mm, was a tiny little, just barely in the skin underneath his belly.
Yep.
And he said, "I'm tagging this buck."
Yeah.
And then you just sucked it up and
sucked it up. I mean, what do you do? Like, you really have to weigh out that decision.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, okay. So helped him pack it out even.
Yeah.
And then I realized I want to try to find a way to hunt, and it's probably going to be solo because I want to know that when I fire a shot, like I can claim that buck. Like I don't want to be in this situation again, and I want to hunt all day.
Yes.
And so it just, again, I had a great time. Great people. Love them to death. Hopefully if you listen to this podcast, there's no hard feelings because there isn't anymore. Like we're way beyond that.
It was in the moment.
It was in the moment where I was like, what? But it taught me a lot. It taught me about what do I want out of a hunt? What do I want out of the whole hunting experience? How do I want to camp? How do I want to pursue this prey? I don't want to do it from a trailer at a road camp. I don't want to come back for lunches. And so I started turning into a solo hunter. I still went back for the next few years, but I never participated in any of the campsite activities at that point. I would leave before dark, drive to a spot, get out, hike in, and post up, and I would glass. Come 8, 9 o'clock, if I didn't see anything, I would still hunt and move through the timber, and I started getting success.
Yeah.
But I would hunt dark to dark. And what I found out is that not a lot of people want to do that. Not a lot of people want to hike to their glassing knob in the dark in the morning with the trail or with the headlamp. And then a lot of people do not want to sit on that glassing knob until it's dark and hike back to the truck with a headlamp. We're talking front country. We'll get into back country. Mm-hmm. But a partner has to be on the same level of intensity. That's the word I use on it, because if they don't want to hike in the dark, they're going to tell you, hey, it's an hour till dark. We need to go.
Yeah.
There's going to be that clash of opinion, clash of desire. And then I was realizing, like, hey, I don't want to miss prime time in the morning. I don't want to miss prime time at night. It's worth it to me to hike in with a headlamp, hike out with a headlamp. If your hunting partners don't want to do that, you need to find one who does, or solo hunt.
Yep.
So it started solo hunting. But just having that unified mindset and hunting style in your hunting partner is important, because the last thing you want to be doing is hunting with somebody that you're having constant friction with.
Yep. Nothing ruins a hunt faster than you just butting heads all day.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
And it's bad on a front country hunt where you're going back to a trailer, but it's really bad when you're living with somebody in a tent in the back country for 10 days.
And you can't just dip because you're tied down to whatever you guys are doing.
Or
there.
You're getting the threat of, dude, I'm done with this. I'm pulling the ripcord. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You can't be put in those positions. And I've been in some of those scenarios before where I'm like, okay, you have to take note of that. I'm like, okay, there's probably not going to be another planned 6-day bear hunt or a 4-day bear hunt. Like, those are the things that you have to look for. And that's why I say when you find that one person who just jives with you, I guess for lack of better words, like it's just their jam is what you do and what they do is your jam and you just mesh. Like we went on a bear hunt previously this year.
Mm-hmm.
First time I've ever hunted with you.
Yep.
Okay. But I didn't know what to expect.
Me neither.
Like, I honestly didn't know what to expect. You didn't know like what to expect from me.
It's the first time we've hunted with each other. How do you know?
So now you have a little, be honest, you probably had some like questions, some apprehension. Or at least just wonder like, what is this guy's?
Yeah. My biggest thing was, when is this guy going to stop hiking and set up camp? I thought he said we were going to go to this ridge. Why are we 3 ridges past where he said we were going to set up camp?
Oh,
that was my only thing I was asking in my head, but everything else you were good.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good.
But we seen 3 bears on the very first night of setting up camp.
Yes.
So what happens is if you get into that position, then you're constantly hamstrung with I wonder if they're willing to do this. I wonder if they're willing to go here. I wonder, you know what I mean? And then if you constantly have to question and then ask for permission, I believe that you should be so paralleled to where you know that they're going to do it, but out of courtesy, you just verify, hey, what do you think about doing this or doing that? You bounce it off and communicate, and then you get that agreement and you go. But above all, you should always have your partner's back and be willing to do what is in their best interest, especially if they're the ones who are in pursuit of an animal. I have a rule, and before we talked about this a little bit before the podcast. I have a rule: if I'm hunting with a partner, and they're a good hunting partner, whoever spots an animal, the other person works for that person until that animal is either harvested or there's a blown stalk or something terminates the pursuit of that animal.
Yep.
And so if you were to say, Austin, I glassed up a bear and I feel like it's one I want to take, I'm like, Samong, I'm at your disposal. We are here as a team. You picked out that animal. I work for you.
Yep.
You will drive the stock. You will drive the decisions because, again, it comes to that paralleled experience level. If somebody has that experience level to say like, hey, I got the experience, and it's not just somebody who's saying they got the experience, but it's the harvests in their backlog of history.
Yeah.
That proves and validates what they're saying. No problem, man. Like, even if you don't make the right call.
Yep.
I've been in those situations where turned up a nice buck. I'm tagged out. I'm working for you. Again, that's another rule too. If we're both in on a hunt and tag out, I don't check out and hang out at camp for the next 3 days because I've seen that happen. If we're a team and we're somewhere and we're hunting, I'm committed to the very end or until both tags are filled. If I harvest first, I work for you for the rest of the trip. And I believe that's how a hunting partnership should work. You've got to have selflessness. And you got to be willing to go the extra mile when it's not in your benefit.
Yep.
And that's huge. And so I turn up a giant 4-point, and this is a buck that my hunting partner wants to pursue. The route that he wanted to pursue to get to it wasn't the exact route I would have done. I didn't totally agree with the approach. I would have went a little bit longer, went the extra mile to circle around and just 100% make sure that that wind was in my favor. They wanted to play it a little more aggressive and a little quicker with the evening light that we had to work with. Okay.
They were in the driver's seat.
They were in the driver's seat, and they have some validated credibility in their backlog.
They've killed stuff to prove that, okay, maybe he knows how to plan a stalk.
Yeah. And hindsight was this stalk very well could have played out right for him. Unfortunately, it didn't. We were on one opposing slope. Imagine an aspen creek bed in the bottom and then a wide open slope on the other side. Buck and 3 does are feeding on that face. He was going to take a marginal gamble on the wind and just go straight down to the bottom, across the creek, and as soon as you pop out of the aspens at the creek bottom, have a 400-yard shot.
This is while the wind's blowing up.
Thermals were going up. And I'm like, what about the thermals over there? I think we'll be good. You really think so? Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. So we did that. We got through the aspens. You know, as we descend, at some point, the aspens, you lose your vision through them, come out. The does are still there. The buck vaporized. So now you have the reconvene meeting here, and the topic comes up. What about the wind again? Yeah, you're probably right. We probably should have looped up to the head of that basin, got above the creek, and circled around on them, had a lateral side hill 400-yard shot. Yeah, that's what I would have done, but, I work for you. I'm tagged out.
Exactly.
So in that scenario, you got a good hunting partner, which I 100% would say this was what he was. But even in a scenario where we didn't totally agree, we didn't have a knockdown, drag-out difference of opinions there because I was working for him at that point.
Yep.
You got to be selfless.
You knew your place in that particular situation.
I stayed in my lane in that situation. You can't be in a hunting partnership where you're constantly just butting heads.
Yep.
If you are, you probably need to find a different hunting partner.
You did a very good job highlighting the nutshell of like what a bad hunting partner is. And sometimes finding the good hunting partner, but you just kind of let things slide. Now, I think a lot of people who's hunted for a long time can resonate with that. And kind of like you, I think ultimately what it breaks down to is there's different types of hunting partner that you have to understand where they're at.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, for example, like personally how I break it down. I have the privilege of hunting with many different people. As somebody who essentially gets to do this as a living, I have a lot of time to go hunt. And sometimes on different hunts, I get to invite certain people, or a hunt lines up with a friend that I haven't had time to hunt with, right? And so how I break it down is, the first one is you're solo hunting. It's all you. The other one is finding a hunting partner like what you were talking about, where he's kind of on the same page as you. He's got about the same experience as you, kind of has he's on the same wavelength for the most part. The third one is you're the mentor and you're taking a completely brand new hunter out. You are not on the same page. That mentee is literally holding your hand and just essentially going after what you're saying. The fourth one is hunting. I break partners apart from family because I feel like a lot of times in family, you let a lot of things slide and you're not afraid to let each other have it.
Yeah.
That's just family. So
that's when the gloves come off.
Yes, that's how I break it up. So you can say that, yeah, a family member can be a partner. I agree. But to me, I like to break it down because let's just be honest, man. The amount of things I am comfortable to do and say in front of a family member is completely different than, just, a buddy or a friend that you're not blood related to.
But would you say that those 4 different illustrations of a hunt, you're doing the same thing, you're hunting, but you need to mentally go into all 4 of those scenarios differently?
Yes, in a way, yes. Because here's how I go.
Your expectations have to be different.
Yep.
In different scenarios.
You have to be able to me, in my opinion, and we'll get to this later, but to me, I try to be the best hunting partner I can be. Mm-hmm. Whether I'm the mentor or sometimes I'm the mentee, or I'm just, somebody hunting alongside somebody who's on the same wavelength, or my family. I try my best to be the best hunting partner possible. And I think that's why we're having this podcast. We want everybody to be the best hunting partner. And the reason why I bring that up is because there are some times, like what you're getting at, when I approach, if I'm a mentor and I'm taking someone out, I lower my expectations significantly.
Yeah.
Because I know that this person is not going to have the right fundamentals yet. He's going to be slower on the gun or the bow, whatever it is. He's going to take longer. He's probably going to make more noise. He's making more obnoxious movements that a more experienced hunter is not going to do. For example, like last year, 2024, I took a 16-year-old kid's son out, and he's looking for his first deer. And we go into this area where he can shoot any white-tailed deer. And so I'm just like, my goal is just to find a doe. And I remember, like, the first full day we're in there, like, I'm glassing up does everywhere. And in my head, I'm like, 95% of these does, if it was me, not to toot my horn, I'm like, those are prospects. Like, I could go and shoot this doe right now. But I'm like, okay, but can this kid execute on that doe effectively? And basically every single one of them, I was like, if I had to guess, no. Mm-hmm. One, he's going to be too slow, because if we get in position, that doe the doe's probably going to spook. He's going to have X amount of time before that doe spooks.
But to my point, you had a different expectation for this hunt.
Exactly. And so it's like, that's how you adjust. Versus if I hunted with someone like you or someone like Nate, it's like, we're on the same level. It's like, a stock that I'm able to execute, I'm fairly confident you would be able to execute as well. So it's very easy to plan according to that, right? Whereas a family member, if he completely disagrees with me and I know he's wrong for a fact, I'm like, no, you suck. Like, we're doing what I'm doing here, right? And then the flip side is sometimes having no partner is the way to go. When you have no partner, there's nobody refuting what you want to do. This is what I want to do. I'm going to go do it.
I would say that in a scenario where I started segueing into backcountry, so I started just deciding, man, I really want to try this by myself, and I just want to get away from everybody, all the hunters. I'm going to go steep and deep and just solo this. So I started doing that. Then I started realizing that I can find and develop a knack for finding older, mature age class bucks. Now I have this in the back of my mind, call it selfish or motives or whatever. I don't know if I want to bring somebody else back in here. Not only are they going to know this deer that I'm hunting, because now I'm not deer hunting, I'm hunting a deer because I've been doing all the work. And that comes into the other aspect of it, the intensity part that I always harp on. Not a lot of people are willing to do the work, and I do most of my work before hunting season ever starts. And so if your hunting partner isn't willing to go and trail run and bushwhack and set cameras and commit multiple days to setting cameras, checking cameras, finding these target bucks that you are then going to go and hunt a deer or a group of said target bucks. Why am I going to take somebody in to hunt the deers that I work for all preseason and give them the chance to blow up something that if I know I go in there and I blow a stock, and I have, but I worked for it. Like I don't really care. If I blow a stock, I'll go hunt a different buck. And so it's like the little red hen mentality where she bakes and cooks and preps and all of that. Nobody wants to help in the kitchen. But then when that bread comes out of the oven, man, the dogs come running in. Everybody wants to eat it. So you're probably getting that all the time. Man, take us hunting, take us to the honey hole. And it's like, in reality, guys, there is no shortage of places to go if you'll work for it. But nobody starts that hunting partnership, in my opinion, on the right foot by just being the guy, hey, can I go hunting with you at your honey hole? That's not how it works. There's a buildup that shows like, hey, I'm committed. I will not let these spots go out, because let's be real, when you find a good spot, you have target bucks, you have target bulls, and you are going to relay that information to a hunting partner, you better be able to trust him.
Exactly.
And if you can't, you should probably solo hunt, at least for that particular hunt. And so I shared some pictures of bucks with you last year. I had 4 target bucks in our state that were probably all 160 or better. I wanted to only kill one of those 4 bucks. But June, July, August, every other weekend, I ended up putting like 7 cameras in this basin. I was trying to gain as much intel. I wanted to know their travel routes, wanted to know where they water, where they feed, where they bed, what saddles they use to go from one basin to the next basin. There's this little ridge in the middle, and they were hopscotching through this saddle. I magically picked the right saddle, and I found the highway. Like, I knew these deer are just bouncing back and forth and back and forth. Well, then at that point, as you're getting closer to season, you know that you're on these bucks and this age class and stuff. I don't really want anybody else to just randomly go in there on their own and just mess it up. So then I'm like, I'm just going to solo hunt this. I think that a good way, and we could talk a little bit about this, of how to seek out a hunting partner, no matter if you are a really super experienced hunter and you don't really have anybody that's going with you or doing it the way you do, you can approach things to kind of not necessarily interview, but just get a pulse on what somebody's feel for hunting would be like. Are you willing to commit to this level? Are you willing to hike this far? Are you willing to hike in the dark? Are you willing to spend the night by a bear that you harvested 2.5 miles from camp right at last light, and by the time you processed him out, it's August. It's not dark till 9:15 here in Washington, and by the time you hike to him after you execute the shot, if you have to track him, then you skin him out, quarter him. Are you willing to sleep in your puffy gear on the side of a hill in an avalanche chute because it's just so treacherous and you're so just worn out and beat? Are you willing to do those things?
Exactly.
I'm not saying that I necessarily even like that, but it's part of the grind, and you've got to be willing to do that.
Yeah. And that's the advantage of solo hunting. You do what you want to do, right? And
You don't have to even guess if this person's going to be on board. You just make those easy spur of the moment decisions that you need to do and you need to execute quickly. And if it mandates that you spend a night in an avalanche shoot at 7,000 feet elevation in your puffy pants and rain gear so you don't die, you do it.
Exactly.
And you come out smiling the whole time.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so hard to find people like that, because I think the attributes I think it goes a little bit deeper than just a hunting partner. I think at the core of it, it's the human itself. So, for example, I mean, we've kind of dabbled on over it, but like rapid fire of some of the things I look for in a hunting partner is just like that person's got to be trustworthy, right? Like you brought up the example of you found a honey hole with all these bucks. If you take somebody in there and you're like, you promise me you will never let another soul know about this spot or these animals, he's got to be trustworthy for you to be able to disclose that information before you even, one, tell him about it, let alone take him into that spot.
Right.
The other one is integrity. For example, back when we did our bear hunt, right, you undergo this rule of if you spot the animal, then it's fair game to whoever spots it. This is kind of out of left field. A lot of people don't do this. This is just what I do. To me, whenever someone takes me to a spot that I did not do, it's their spot and they take me into it, I always tell them, I was like, this is typically how I naturally go about things unless you want to change it. And I always say, I don't care who spots the animal. Mm-hmm. I'm in your spot, and if I spot an animal first, you have first dibs to it. And I said it to you. At first, you were scratching your head. You were like, well, that's not how I do things. Because one example is 2021 muzzleloader elk hunt when I was hunting with my good buddy Jacob. We both went in there with muzzleloaders. We both had a tag each. And it was because it was a spot. I mean, we drew straws, like sticks before the morning. But at the same time, I was like, regardless if I want it, I would have let you shoot first because this is your spot. And we go in there and we double. But before we double, he shot first. So the first thing I did was I called in a bull for him. He shot it. I just got lucky that as we were waiting for that bull to expire, I shot a second one. When we went to Hawaii, and Jacob caught some slack from people just like commenting on YouTube, right? Like, wow, like you live on Hawaii and you invited your friend from the lower 48 and you shot first. And I was like, yeah, that's because I told Jacob to shoot first. It's not that Jacob said, oh, I'm going to shoot first. It's like, no, I literally told him, like, you live here. Like, this is your backyard. Like, you shoot first. And so I let him shoot first. I offered the same thing to you on a bear hunt.
Yeah. And I appreciated it, but I wouldn't want to hold you to that. But I think that just speaks to, like, that's something that you should look for in a hunting partner that's courteous, that's selfless, right? So you really, in that scenario, most people are like trigger happy, and especially if they haven't killed a lot of stuff, I mean, they're probably not going to have that mindset. But if you have somebody who's willing to go to the plate for you and have your back, and then even to go to the extent of saying, hey, like, this is your spot, why don't you kill first? That says a lot. I don't really agree with that. Like, you're doing that out of a courtesy and just a respect for me from coming to one of my spots. But I wouldn't accept that, but I respect it. And so I want us to just engage equally in the game and look like you get in the glass, I get in the glass, and it's spot it, shot it. So if you spot it, you get first dibs, I'll work for you. Yeah, and I think this is the very first stepping stone that I guess the point we're trying to get at is you need to be on the same wavelength before the hunt even really starts, right? Like have these conversations before you're on the hunt.
Yes, you set the ground. Granted, there are some people who are like, oh yeah, like we'll do that. In the moment, it's like you're walking back on your words, right? It's like, oh well, I told those I was going to do this, and you spotted, you shot it. It's like I've heard nightmare stories about that, right? But in this case, like, let's just say that you're true about your words. It's like, yes, have these conversations though in the heat of the moment something comes together, it's like you already know, like, oh, this is what we talked about, this is what we're doing. Because, just to pivot one point, sometimes when in these hunting scenarios, you don't have a lot of time. And if you're just going to be sitting there while this animal is literally moving out of your life and you're still sitting there talking, I mean, there goes your animal, right? So that's just the actual killing aspect of itself. But in terms of a human to human type thing, like, yes, have these things set before you actually embark on a hunt. And if you can't agree on it, then it's probably best that you guys just
It's a really good sign that you're probably not going to be compatible. When you talk about backcountry hunting, that's an even more close-knit, intimate, if you would, hunt. I mean, you're living in the same tent together. You're literally going to spend however many days in the backcountry. If you're going to put the miles on, you're probably going to be back there for 5, 7, 10 days. Okay? I always ask myself the question, are you willing to interact with this person on a personal level, go out to dinner, go on a camping trip, go on a vacation with them in your off time? And if your answer is no or maybe, don't just jump in a truck and drive to another state and sign up to live in a tent with them for 7 days because it's probably not going to go good. You've got to have a lot of things in common too to have that great interaction out on the mountain. You know, if you view certain things, I mean, there's all kinds of polarizing topics, but you just fill in the blank.
Yep.
And you view things certain way, and this person is completely on the other end of the spectrum, might not be a good recipe.
Yep.
And there are those instances where people can agree to disagree and they're respectful about it and it works. But my point is, have those conversations, fill this out before you're jumping in a truck and heading across somewhere out of state to do a 7-10 day hunt.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing is a lot of people, when they say hunting partner, they think as this person is just my hunting partner. But here's the truth. My best hunting partners are my actual real friends.
Yeah.
I do a lot more stuff with them outside of the hunt itself.
Because you truly enjoy being around them.
Exactly. And I truly believe that those are the best hunting partners. The people that you genuinely want to be around. The people you love to talk with, hang out with. For example, Nate, like we started this podcast together, right? Like, and we hunt a lot together, but we spend even more time outside the hunts itself. And those are the type of people that I'm looking for. And I feel like a lot of people should be looking for, because I feel like you learn so much more about your relationship and your dynamic when you're able to figure that thing outside. So nowadays it's like, because Nate and I, we hang out so much outside of our hunts. When we do go in a hunt, like there's essentially zero friction.
Yeah.
I already know how Nate works. He already knows how I work when we get there.
Things are seamless.
Yeah. And it's like, for example, like the moment we spot an animal, he already knows what I'm going to do. I already know what he's going to do. We just do our own thing. And next thing you know, he's just like, are you on him? And I'm like, yes, just shoot him. Right? It's flawless and seamless like that. Now, obviously, you're not probably going to get to that stage by just the first hunt or second hunt with a guy, right? But the reason why I bring it up is because when Nate and I first hunted, I mean, he disagreed with a lot of what I said. I mean, we kind of butted heads at first, but the reason why we were able to make it work out is because we, at times, when we had a decision to make, one would give, right? It's kind of like what you said earlier. Like, we first started turkey hunting, and I told him, and he was pretty new to turkey hunting. And because it was his tag, when we had an encounter, we located a turkey, I would say, all right, we're going to do this and this and this. But then he's like, no. And then he goes off and does his own thing. And at the same time, I was like, see, like, normally I would not highly recommend that at all. Right. But because it was his tag, I was like, I'll give on this one because it is his tag. And we ended up, that turkey busted us. And then I went and told him, I was like, see, like, this is why I told you we weren't going to do that, because that setup wasn't right. And obviously, the other thing now on his end is you have to be humble enough to accept that you are wrong.
And that's huge.
Some people's ego gets in the way so much where they're just like, I can never be wrong and don't ever correct me. And not just to say that on Nate, like, I've been wrong many times on a hunt.
Sure.
And Nate's been like, see, like, if I did this, like, we would have killed him. And same thing with Jacob. Like, Jacob was relatively new at turkey. And this is like just me being prideful. I'm like, dude, I've got way more turkey hunting experience than this guy. We located this one turkey. And Jacob was like, well, we could just run right down there and we could call him like in 100 yards. And I'm like, no way. Like, he's going to spot us. So I was like, instead, let's try to call him all the way up the mountain. And so we do what I did because I wouldn't budge. And what did the turkey do? The turkey naturally ended up going exactly where Jacob said he was going to go. And if you know anything about turkeys, if you are where they're naturally going to go, they're usually coming in. And that was like a gut punch. I was like, Jacob, like, I went up to him. I was like, you were right. Like, I was so wrong on this one. And that was just a pride thing on my end. I was just like, I have way more experience than this guy. Like, why is this guy telling me what to do, right? And so it's like, you take a step back. It's like, you know what? Like, I may have more experience in terms of years with this guy, but that doesn't mean that I can never be wrong and he can never be right. He obviously taught me a lesson there. And ever since then, I'm just like, all right, you need to accept that sometimes. And I've learned it from Nate as well. Like, there are many times where Nate's just like, if I were you, like, I'd do this. And I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. And then he ends up, oh, you were actually right. So humility is one thing. And that's what I actually look for in a good hunting partner.
That's one character trait that's good. I think the goal for this podcast is getting more people to mesh and more people to hunt together. And it's not say like there will be maybe one hunting partner that you tried to hunt with that didn't work for you. Doesn't mean that guy's not going to be a successful hunter. He just might need to find somebody that he's more compatible with. And that's fine. We're all different. I mean, the world would be crazy if that was full of the exact same person.
Yep.
But you need to seek out somebody who you work well with, because in the instances that we have been discussing, it's important.
Yep.
And that compatibility, that trust, and humility in certain situations. If you have to eat crow, you have to eat crow. Like, well, I messed that one up. That's fine. And then you're able to like grow from that, right?
Yep.
And you actually respect that person more because of it.
Yep.
As to two alpha males hunting together that have just a head bashing competition of opinions and wills and styles and hunting methods and procedures and how do I set up for this stock and what's your shot setup process? Well, that's not the way I do it. And you're going to go on a stock on that buck that route? Oh, no, this is the way. You need to do it right here because I would stock that buck this route. That seldom works well in the end. And more often than not, you're going to do a couple of those to try to make it work, and then you're going to have to be finding somebody else.
Yep.
There's a special emphasis on find out a lot of these things before the first hunt, because you can find out a lot about a person. And again, this has nothing to do with, is this a good or a bad person? We're trying to determine, is this a compatible hunting partner? It has nothing to do with people being good or people being bad.
Yeah.
That's not the purpose of this.
Exactly.
We're trying to talk about something that I never really hear talked about much in the industry. And it's how can we go about finding a compatible hunting partner?
Yeah. And just to resonate with that, one example is my dad. I love my dad. Okay.
Oh, the gloves are coming off now.
But he is not my favorite hunting partner. and I want to elaborate on that because people might think
I get a dad story after you then.
Yes. So I love my dad, obviously.
Of course.
But my dad and his way of how he goes about hunting and how he wants to hunt is so drastically different than the way I want to hunt that I find it very hard to actively hunt with my dad. And again, to point out to you, it's not that my dad's a bad person or I'm a bad person. It's just that, we love each other very much. But when it comes to hunting specifically, we're just not the best hunting partners. And why? Because my dad, he's relatively old school. And in little ways, he's a little bit stubborn. He doesn't want to learn new stuff. So he's the old schooler. He's gun on his shoulder and he's just hiking all day. Like he's hunting through the timber, he's stalking, he will never know how to, he carries a binocular and a binocular harness, but he will never use that thing to save his life. He just carries it. I don't know why he carries it, but just to make me happy for whatever reason. And that's how he hunts. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's killed some studs hunting like that. To me, on the other hand, I like to be flexible. I like, there is a time where I'm going to still hunt, I'm going to walk around. But if I get to a nice vantage, I'm not just going to blow right past that and not glass that clear cut. Like, I want to sit here. Like, in 2023, the last day of season, Washington late season, right? I didn't have a tag. My dad still had a tag. So we went on, and this day was cold. It was like, I think it was like 3 degrees. And I went up there, and I forgot my gloves that day, right? And so I'm walking, and normally I'm carrying my cameras in my hand. And we get up to this knob, like about a mile and a half in, and we're overlooking this giant bullwish, just clear cut. And I'm like, I need to glass this. So I start taking off my pack. I start putting my tripod down. And my dad, I hike a lot faster. My dad's really slowed down. And my dad, as I'm getting through the binos, I'm like, oh, there's 2 does. So I'm just standing there. I'm not saying because my dad's still walking up. Eventually, my dad gets up to me. He's like, this is cool. And he's like, where does this road go? I was like, oh, this road eventually goes right over to the clear cut I'm looking at. And then he just takes off. And I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going to keep glassing. So I see these 2 does. And this is about 1,000 yards away. And as I'm glassing, here comes a buck. Like he's running, like nose on the ground, like just chasing these does. And I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a buck. And I'm looking at this deer, and I'm looking at my dad, and my dad is just slowly disappearing down this road because he's so far away. And I'm like, I got to run over to my dad. And so I pack up all my stuff. I run over to my dad. I'm like, Dad, there's a buck over there on these two does. And how it works is I'm on a vantage point. They're on the far one, and there's a middle ridge in between us. And I tell my dad, like, all right, this road's going to take us straight to that middle ridge. Let's get there, and you can just take this shot. And so my dad's like, really? You saw a deer? I'm like, of course I saw a deer. Like, you didn't even look at the clear cut. And so we get over there, and sure enough, like, this buck is just like, they're on this ridge, and they're spining, and he's just like rutting. And he's like about 450 yards. So it's a long shot. And I'm like, Dad, like, just set up. I'll stay on this deer. And my dad cannot set up to save this deer. He cannot find this deer in the scope. And I'm like, dude, he's in the middle of a clear cut. You know, like, there's snow on the ground. Like, he doesn't even blend in. And so after a while, we lose that deer. And I don't know how he did it, but he somehow made his way across that clear cut down to the gut in between us and the creek. So now the buck is literally like 170 yards right below us. I catch him coming through the creek. And I'm like, Dad, he's right below us. And so my dad's like, what? So my dad gets up, and this buck is walking across a whited out creek. The deer's as obvious as day. And my dad cannot find this buck. My dad's like, where's the deer? I'm like, Dad, there's a 10-yard window in the creek. He's standing right in the middle of it. And my dad cannot find this deer. It's so frustrating because I have this on video, and I'm like, I was pretty mad. I'm like, Dad, if you can't find this deer, I don't know what to tell you. And finally, I'm watching this deer just walk. And how it works is there's a little ridge on our side where, like, if he goes behind that, like, we lose sight of him. And he's walking. I'm like, Dad, shoot this deer, shoot this deer. You're gonna lose your line of sight here. And the deer just walks out of view. And I'm like, Dad, we need to run down that little ridge that he disappeared behind so we can look back down into the creek. So my dad packs up, we run down there, and as we run like halfway, that buck had actually made his way up that same knob, and so we like run head on into each other. Like, the buck's like at 70 yards, the buck takes off, and finally, for the first time, my dad sees this buck. I'm telling my dad, I was like, Dad, he's going to run back across that clear cut, set up on the stump, just get ready. He's going to be on that clear cut. Like, there's nowhere for this deer to run. It's in the middle of an opening. And this buck goes, and this buck is like, he's running with a white flag waving. And I could tell, like, he's about to stop. Like, he's running, and he's slowly down trotting. And the gun just goes off. Boom. And it shoots like 6 feet over this buck. And the buck takes off again. Like, he's startled. He jumps again. I'm like, Dad, slow down. Take your time. Like, he has nowhere to go. It's in the middle of a clear cut. It's like 300 yards. And my dad racks another one. And the deer, he jumps. Like, he does the 2 big jumps. And he's kind of trotting. And I could tell, again, he's going to slow down again. And right before he slowed down, gun goes off again. Shoots like 3 yards to the right in front of this buck, and he takes off again. And I'm like, Dad, take your time. You have nothing to rush here. The buck stands in the road. Finally, he stops in the road. And I told my dad, you need to calm down. And my dad gets off the stump. So he was originally resting the gun on the stump. He puts it on his knee because now the stump's too low.
Oh, no.
And I can tell my dad's like doing this with the gun, like shaking with the gun. And I'm like, oh, brother, here we go. He shoots, and he actually hits the deer.
Oh, wow.
But he skims the deer, like, I think he hit like low, like towards the sternum. You could tell impact, and then the hairs on the buck just start like sticking up. I mean, this buck's rutted up. Like, he's like, what is this? Like, this is weird. And I'm like, Dad, you hit him, but you need to do better. And so he goes, and now he needs to reload.
Oh, he's out of ammo.
He's out of ammo because he's shooting a 300 Winchester short mag, and those things are fat.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, reload. He's still standing there. I think you hit him. And what does my dad do? He's like, I need my pack. And his pack is where he originally leaned. He's like, all my bullets are in there. I'm like, I was so mad. I was like, Dad, what are you doing? So he runs back, grabs his pack, and the buck is still just standing there. Comes back, loads another, shoots, sails right over his back. The buck just takes off. And I'm like, bro, what did I just witness? Like, what is this? So my dad goes over there, checks on him, and obviously he finds blood because there's snow on the ground. And where he hit him on the third shot, like, he was just dripping blood. Like, there was like a 6-inch hole of just blood. And then the buck just eventually went on private. Now, that's not to throw my dad under the bus. But the reason why I bring it up is because we were never on the same page. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to tell my dad, like, what to do and what not to do. And he's completely on his own wavelength. He's like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And in this case, it's one of the few times where I'd like to say I was in the right. I was telling my dad, like, dude, he's going to stop for you. Why are you shooting when he's running? Obviously, he went to go check, dude. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, I was so mad. I didn't really talk to my dad for the rest of the day. We just hiked out. I was like, we're going home. Like, this is the last day of season, and that was your chance. And so, yeah. But I tell that story because again, it's not to say my dad's a bad person. It's like, I
No.
love my dad.
Of
But
course.
when it comes to hunting, it requires a certain type of person, certain type of personality, a certain type of mindset. And it's not to say that my dad's necessarily wrong. He might find a hunting partner who hunts or thinks more similarly to him where they mesh well. But that's a prime example of you can still love each other, but you just don't make the best of hunting partners.
Right.
So that's why I bring up that example.
And I think there's something to be said where you don't have to look at a hunting partner necessarily by how many animals they have in their back history, because you might have two guys that have been hunting together their whole lives and they might average 2 deer every 10 years, but they have a hoot together and they have fun and they enjoy their time out in the woods together. And in the reality, that's the driving focus here of like, if you're having fun, you're out there enjoying what you do, you're meshing, you're compatible, that's a good hunting partner.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your hunting style isn't super productive,
But you enjoy it.
You enjoy it. Like, there's a lot of people that do that. Good on you. If you like the wall tent beside a logging road and hunt out of a pickup and walk out 100 yards onto a knob and glass and jump back in and drive to another spot, if that's your hunting style and that's your hunting partner's style, you guys are compatible to go have a good time.
Exactly.
But don't ask that guy to go 10 miles in on some backcountry wilderness hunt, because it's probably not going to turn out very good.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not about having the perfect hunting partner. Sometimes it's about having the right partner for the task at hand.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I have a pretty good network of people I hunt with. When I do my severe, hardcore, high country, you name it, backcountry stuff, that's a very short list of people. Nate's one of them. And he's about the only guy I backcountry hunt with. Because I just know that when we do those stuff, he doesn't complain. And if anything, he's the one that's telling me to go farther, right? And so he's that guy for me. And I know that, okay, if he can do
you can
those,
add one more guy to your roster.
this guy's sitting right here, Austin, right? And so it's like different hunts, certain people can do it.
Correct.
On the other end of the spectrum, my good buddy Steve, he's really laid back. And there's nothing wrong with being laid back on a hunt. If you don't want to be the guy that's the first bird up at the morning or the guy that's staying the latest, that's fine. You just find a partner who matches that. Because
or a hunt that's conducive to that. Maybe build a hunt. If you do have a hunting partner or a friend, you're like, I would like to do a hunt with this friend.
Yeah.
He's not a backcountry guy, but we could do a turkey hunt together.
Exactly.
Or we could do a fishing trip together.
Yep.
For instance, like my dad, I took him up scouting where I took you earlier this year, bear hunting. I took him up there on a scouting trip one time. And we got to the top and he was dying.
Yeah.
And we set up the tent and we get ready for bed. And it was a pull up there, a lot of elevation gain. And I thought he did great getting up there. He took his time and we slowly made our way up there. But then all night long, I got to hear, man, this ground is hard. This is like sleeping on a piece of cardboard.
Yep.
This air pad is not going to cut it for me.
Yep.
Why do they make air pads just the width of your body? My elbows are in the dirt. I got to pee.
Yeah.
Gets up, pees, comes back in. I can't sleep. Well, thanks, Dad. Neither can I now. Like it's been all night.
Yeah.
3:00. I can't sleep. I'm just getting up. So then he gets up. Then he's standing outside the tent, coughing. Hey, pretty bright out here, man. You should see the stars. I'm like, that's 3 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? So It's like some of those things. It's like I guess you just create a tolerance, or you just learn to expect certain things. When I go on a backcountry hunt, I know it's going to be a grind. I know I'm not going to be comfortable for the entire trip. I know I'm not going to eat well. I'm not at home. Like, I'm going to eat to the best of my ability, but I'm not going to bring a bunch of stuff back there. So I'm going to eat way less calories when I'm in the backcountry. Some people argue, well, that's not smart. I'm being real. I don't eat as much calories when I'm in the backcountry as I do when I'm at home. But I just know that I'm going to take some supplements.
Yep.
I'm going to have some whatever you want to put in there for your electrolytes or salt or liquid IV. I'm going to have that in my water. I'm going to have some ibuprofen if I'm sore. But I just know that I'm going to have to just be okay being very uncomfortable for a long amount of time. But it's part of the hunt. And if that's not your hunt, that's fine. Find a hunting partner who's compatible with you and just go hunt. But with my dad, for instance, I was like, you know what? I do have a hunt that would be great with you. Let's go to Colorado, third rifle, stay in an RV at the RV park. 30 minutes before, 45 minutes before first light, which would technically be an hour and 15 before sunrise. Let's head out in the truck. Let's get high to a glassing knob, get out of the truck, walk a few hundred yards. I know I can turn you up some bucks. We'll have a fantastic time together.
Yep.
And we did that hunt. So you can still do hunts where you get to that family member or even a close friend, but you're maybe not compatible for a certain type of hunt. There's something that I'm sure you can make work.
Exactly.
And that hunt was a memory that I'll have forever. I really enjoyed that hunt.
Yeah, and it was probably one of the least intensive hunt that you've ever been on.
It wasn't intense at all. I don't think I sweated the entire trip.
It was so casual. No, and that's the point that I'm trying to bring up. It's like I have a network of people that I'm saying when I have a certain, like I have this hunt plan, immediately there's a certain amount of names that pop up in my head. Severe hardcore hunts, Nate's usually the guy I hit up, or vice versa. And then on the other end, I'm like, if I just want a super laid back hunt, now here's my list of guys that I would take on that hunt, right? There are some times where like, I just need a hunt with my dad. Like, and I know we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I just want to spend a time with my dad. So last year when we were in Montana, like there were so many places I wanted to go personally, but I was like, my dad's that's not his cup of tea. Yeah. So I wanted to make the trip enjoyable for him. So I found some hunts that were probably going to be more suitable for him. Granted, we've never really hunted Montana at all. It's a shot in the dark here. And we went there and, we had a lot of fun. I mean, he gave up halfway on the hunt, but I wasn't surprised because I knew about that. Yeah. It was a 10-day hunt. He gave up on day 5. And I was like, that's fine because I expected it. So I took him all the way back home and then I went and finished my hunt with another partner of mine that was a little bit more younger. So they had fresher legs and they were able to, finish out the hunt with me. But the reason why I bring it up is because we're not just trying to do a blanket statement of saying, oh, that person is just a terrible hunting partner. It's like,
absolutely not.
You just didn't find or put him on a hunt where he was truly comfortable with. Yeah. And that's okay.
Sometimes that's a growing process. Maybe it's something to where it's maybe an adult set hunter that's never done the hunting before and they're fit, they're capable, they're mentally tough. That's something we haven't talked about, but mental toughness is huge. Sometimes you can be fit, you can be a gym rat, you can be any of those things. And if you just give up right here and check out, you're done. You're not enjoying the rest of that hunt, especially on a backcountry hunt. It's over. Yep. But you could start out with somebody who is, say, got their legs under them, legs and lungs. I mean, really, if we're being honest with each other, legs and lungs kills stuff in the backcountry. And if you take those steps to mentor that person and maybe you start out with that modern rifle, easier hunt, and then you mentor them and you move them in, you might be able to build your perfect hunting partner through a mentorship program.
Yep.
That doesn't mean it's big I, little you, because these people could be the same age and you could be friends, but one friend has never hunted, but you camp together, you do this together, you do that together, you ski together, you name it. Well, a little bit of mentorship in a reciprocal, friendly relationship goes a long ways. And all of a sudden, you take this guy under your wing who's been your friend, but he's never participated in any of your hunting activities. You might be able to build that person into the hunting partner you've been looking for a long time.
And so that's the thing. It's like sometimes we're just not patient with building people. Uh-huh. You can often see right off the get-go, if the person's willing to learn, that's usually a green flag. It's like, yeah, he's not there, but he's clearly shown through not only his words, but through his actions that he wants to be dedicated. He wants to get good at this. Yep. And that's not just hunting in general, but anything almost in life. If you have dedication to grow as a hunter in this case, you can get there. And sometimes as a mentor, some like us, like we're so fast to disregard somebody who's not quite there yet. Yeah. And so that's the other thing too. It's like you brought up mental fortitude. And I know some really jacked guys where like you're like, this guy's just gonna conquer the mountain, and he goes in a mountain and it's like, I'm done. Yeah. And then you have some guys who are like, this guy's gonna get whooped on that mountain. And next thing you know, he's out hiking you. And you're like, what in the world? Mental fortitude goes a long way. And I think at the core of it, there's so many different avenues that you can go about with a hunting partner. But in this case, I want to jump into one to kind of round things out because we've elaborated on some stuff. I guess over this conversation, it's been always kind of pointing the finger at someone else. But I believe that you will find the best hunting partners when you are one yourself. Good hunting partners will attract good hunting partners. So personally for me, I tried, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I try my best to be a good hunting partner, and I try to be adaptable to whoever I'm hunting with. Uh-huh. If someone's a little bit more laid back, I try to match that energy. And, sometimes I'll be like, all right, maybe you're slacking off a little bit. Let me just try to push you up a level a little bit, right? So I will do things like that. But just some features of me is, one, I try my best to be a trustworthy partner. When I say things, I want my words to hold weight, because I think that once you lose the trust in somebody, it's extremely hard to gain it back. So one thing that I do is, like, for example, with you, when I have someone who takes me to a spot, I always tell them, like, I will never come back to this spot unless I'm with you, or you tell me to come in here for whatever reason, and I will never tell somebody else. And I hold those words true.
Yeah.
So it's like you just want to not only say, hey, I'm never going to come back in, prove it with your actions. I want to be trustworthy, because that's like some of the, I guess you could say, smaller stuff. But let's say we're in the backcountry and my partner's life is on the line. Can that person trust me to do everything to save that person's life? Whether they need me to hike out with their pack on and they're limping their way out, or if they say, hey, I need you to run to the truck and here's my keys. I need you to meet me back at whatever. Like, I need to be trustworthy. And I try myself to do that. And in turn, I just hope that the person that I'm hunting with replicates that trustworthiness back to me. That's the first thing I do. The second one is just humbleness. Like, I don't care how experienced someone is. If you're just acting all that, it's very unattractive. And it's not like I've always been like this. It's always a growing process. But like nowadays, it's like I can take somebody who's really new at whatever it is, deer hunting, whatever. But the more I hunt with new people, the more I learn, like, dude, these guys bring a completely different perspective into deer hunting that I never thought about. And I learned from that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so little, but it's like, you got to humble yourself enough. Like, yeah, he might not be the most experienced, but he might be able to teach me something new. The other one is simply just being flexible. Yes, there are times where you're going to butt heads, and there are so many situations where you can save or you can resolve the conflict by just simply saying, I'll let it slide. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like you can make a big deal out of anything, but I have found it's never worth the hassle. I just let it slide. Sometimes they do jip you a little bit. Like they jip you a little bit, and you're like, yeah, that kind of hurts, but I'll let it slide. Like I haven't had someone steal a 160-inch buck from me, but I've had some things happen, and it's just like, that's fine. And one example is in 2023, Nate, this is a completely random guy. At this particular gate, Nate and we were bear hunting. And at this gate, it's like, if there's a car parked there, there's essentially one area that they're going to be glassing. We didn't know this because we were in there all day. And there was a truck that pulled up above us or behind us later in the day for the evening hunt. And you take the main road in, and it splits. One's low, one's high. We're sitting on the low road overlooking this berry patch. And these guys, again, we don't know them. They came and sat on top of the road on top. They got off the road, and they were like now sitting between the two roads. And Nate glasses up the bear. And Nate's like, I'm going to take this bear. I'm like, go for it. So we're setting up. And as we're setting up, a gunshot goes off right above us. And I look at the bear, and the bear gets hit. And at first, I'm thinking, like, Nate, did you accidentally pull your trigger? And Nate's like, no, dude, my gun, I don't know what happened. Well, these two guys who came in behind
Did you know
us,
they were there at that point?
No, we didn't even know about them at all. So the gun goes off, and I can tell, I have this on video, like, the bear gets shot. And I'm like, somebody just shot this bear. And you can hear the bullet whiz over our head. And me and Nate, we're dumbfounded. We're like, what in the world just happened? And so we're standing there, and we're like looking above, trying to find these guys. And those guys were sitting like 60 yards above us the whole time.
So they knew you were there.
They did not see us. They didn't, because we were like tucked up against the road.
Oh.
And with the contours, there's brush and stuff, but they were set up like 60 yards above us.
Okay.
And then they shoot, and they pack up, and they come down. And the moment they come down and they see us, there's two of them. The taller guy, he looks at us, and I could tell he just looks down at his ground, and he starts shaking his head. I could tell Nate was a little bit furious, and I told him, like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, keep a calm head. So they come down, and the guy, the older guy, he comes up, and he's like, man, I am so sorry. We had no idea you guys were there. And in the moment, it's easy to get extremely mad. Like, yeah. It's easy to be, like, heated. It's like anybody who's hunting that spot knows that if there's a car parked there, they're watching that clear cut. Usually it's like whoever's there first, that's their spot.
Just their spot, yeah.
And so he came over, and he was just like, I could tell he was genuinely remorseful. He's like, dude, like, I am so sorry. And we talked it out, and I was like, that's fine. Like, 'cause like, heck, we'll stay here and we'll guide you into where you guys shot that bear. So we exchanged phone numbers because we had service there, and we watched them go, and then we guided them to where the bear was last standing. And that was a story. And then now, because we just let it slide, that guy's a very good friend of ours. So Nate still talks to him like every day, and Nate's planning to do a bunch of hunts this year with him.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's like, see, it's like that's what I'm saying, right? It's like you can easily,
It could have gone either way.
you could have turned that and just been like, I want to be enemies with this guy,
Yeah.
right? But part of it just comes from both Nate and my values as a Christian, where like, you forgive, right? And in that case, it was an honest mistake. Like, it's not like they were like, oh, those guys are there and we're purposely going to shoot that bear over them. It's like they genuinely just thought we were looking somewhere else, and they shot the bear over us. And I just told them, like, it's fine. Like, it's no big deal. But I just use that as an example because some things like that can really burn a bridge.
Totally. And I would say, just to tag a little something on the end of that, if you know of somebody who has done things, like in that case, that was unintentional. But if you know of somebody who is always blurring the line, like, probably shouldn't even pursue that person for a hunting partner. You kind of already know what you need to know.
Yep.
Because that someday they may put you in a position you do not want to be in. So when you're making these selections for your hunting partners, you want to make sure it's not going to be somebody who puts you in a bad position at some point to where you're going to have to pay the piper with them.
Yep. And so that's why I bring up the example, because I think it's just a great example, especially it's relevant to this podcast. I guess to go down my list, the next one that you kind of touched on that I try myself to be is I try to be the most supportive partner possible. So kind of like you, whenever I am not the shooter, because it's extremely easy to not work as hard when you're not the one pulling the trigger. I have found it in myself that I actually work harder when I'm actually trying to help one of my partners fill a tag. I truly feel like the more you mature as a hunter, I think you feel more joy seeing someone else harvest an animal than you doing it yourself.
Yes.
One example is turkey hunting. I've killed a handful of turkeys. And nowadays, like, I still get excited about turkey hunting, but because you just do it so much, you kind of start to lose like that high of killing. Oh my goodness, I killed a turkey. Now, if I take somebody who's never killed a turkey or killed very few and just seeing them being so overjoyed about it, it's like, see, like, that brings me joy.
Yeah.
Right? So I just want to be supportive in that way, where I want to work hard and support this person, or just giving them opportunity to do stuff like that. The other one is just being nice. And it sounds so cliche, but nobody likes it when you're just constantly being rude to a person or being demeaning. What do I mean by that? Like, if one of my partners doesn't know something, a lot of people like to ridicule that person.
Right.
Like, how do you not know that? Or like, if he makes a mistake and it's just like, why'd you do that? Like, that was the dumbest thing you could have done. Like, that's the worst way to go about something. You can be upset about it, but you can go in a much better way, which I think the best way to go about that is just informing that person. Like, see, like, because a lot of times you and I know it. When we as hunters make a mistake, whether it's a bad shot or he missed or just blew a stock, we learn a lot by just thinking to ourselves, like, what could I have done better?
There's been a lot of walks back to the truck where you learn a lot.
Yeah, and so I naturally, because I feel like that's just natural to a hunter, I don't have to beat that guy down anymore.
No.
He's already down in the dumps.
Failure is a master teacher.
Yes.
And so I think what you're getting at is that guy's probably already learning a very valuable lesson. You can turn it into a teaching moment and explain the scenario of why it went wrong or what should have happened there.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to beat him over the head and ride a dead horse into the ground over that situation. He's already getting that, especially if the person is somebody who's got good character traits and could be built. You should do your best to be a good mentor, even if it's an equal playing field and that person has as much hunting experience as you do. If we're being honest with ourselves, we all make mistakes, even if you're an experienced hunter, every once in a while. And sometimes you do everything right and the animal still wins. It's hunting. It's not shooting.
Yep.
And so some days it's just not in the cards for you to win, and they win, and that's okay. You've got to be okay with that. And in the instance that somebody makes a mistake, if it can be a learning moment, turn it into a learning moment instead of a ridiculing session.
Yeah. And then just to add on to that, the next one is just be teachable. right? It kind of goes hand in hand, right? And the reason why I say that is because I think there's no such thing as a hunter who knows it all. There's always something to be learned. We're going to use a lot of real life examples as we have been doing out this podcast. But one example was back in 2023 when Nate did his Oregon high country deer hunt. And we basically blew a chip shot on this monster buck, like a buck of a lifetime for Nate. And what had happened, and this is a film that's live on my channel, and we had spotted this masher of a buck, biggest buck I've ever glassed up, like a solid 4-point, maybe like a 170 plus. We glassed him 2 miles away, and we watched him go in bed in this cave. And Nate was like, all right, he's bedded, let's go. Again, this is Nate's tag, so kind of like you, I operate under the same thing. When I am not the tag holder, and my buddy is the tag holder, I do whatever he wants to do because he's the one that, this is his hunt, this is his stock. I will give my opinion on certain things, but I will never have the final say.
He drives the show.
Exactly. So as we're going, we bet at like at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And with how the sun works, it's like the sun, by the time we were going to eventually get into position, which was going to take us like 2-3 hours, the sun was going to be directly above him. And as we were going there, I kept telling Nate, I was like, Nate, just make sure that all your optics are not pointing that direction. And in the moment, Nate was kind of, I could tell like he kind of was disregarding it. He was just kind of, no, we just got to get close. And my reasoning for that was because if you glass directly against the sun, there's a glare. If that buck sees a glare, I mean, they're gone. And so throughout that whole stalk that we were doing, I was so like cognizant of making sure my bino harness was closed. And when I was to glass into that pocket or whatever general area, I was always telling Nate, make sure you're glassing in the shade. Make sure there's a dead log that's blocking the sun from you or something. Like he obeyed it at first. Like he wasn't like completely shrugging it off, but I don't think it was hitting him as hard as I was putting emphasis on it. And so we get into this spot and it's a burn. So there's just a lot of dead white trees. And now we're offset to the right. Like he's about I guess if you're saying we're facing directly above him or directly facing him, but there's just so many trees in the way. And essentially how he last bedded is now if you're looking directly out the cave, we're like to his 10 o'clock. Basically, long story short was we got there and we haven't seen this buck for like an hour 30 because we just lost visual in the stock. And we got there and I told Nate, I was like, all right, we're just going to sit here and it's hot. And after a while, we're sitting for like 20 minutes and Nate's like, hey, you should just go like 12 o'clock and go peek into that cave to make sure he's still there so we're not wasting time.
Get that direct line of sight and pull out the binos and look at him.
Yes. And in my head, I was like, no way. Like, you want me to go do that and potentially blow your hunt. But then at the same time, I was like, I don't think that's a good idea, Nate. I was like, wait at least 1 hour while I know the sun's just not directly above him. Like, offset it so I know the glare's not in front. And so he sits for another 15 minutes and he's like, Samang, I think you should really go check on him. And so I'm like, all right, this is your hunt. Yeah. I'm gonna obey what you're saying.
That give and take.
And so I literally crawl my way over and I am moving like a turtle, peeking through every little grass. And finally I peek around this white dead log and there's like an open lane to the cave. I glass. And this buck, all I see is the head and his rack inside the cave. And I'm like, holy crap, he is big. And I'm just like peeking out. I remember literally I was holding my binoculars in my right hand. I was trying to use my left hand to like block the sun out. And I was like, dude, that's a masher buck. So I like just slowly crawl my way back to Nate. And by that time, we have been like 30 hours without water. We were rationing water because we were completely away from our camp. We were bivvy camping where we spike camped up where we had previously seen another good buck. I get back to Nate and I just remember coming up that 50 yards to Nate. I was losing my mind. Like I couldn't think straight. I was not working. So I told Nate, I got to Nate. I was like, hey, the buck's still there and he's still bedded, but I need to go down to our packs where we dropped it off like 100 yards and I need to go eat something really quick. And so I literally leave Nate. And like 2 minutes later, Nate's now like, he's on his Instagram, like he's on his phone, like, getting these Instagram stories ready. As he's looking at his phone, he looks back up and he just sees the rump of white move in front of the cave up the mountain and just completely vanishes behind this tree. I'm oblivious to this. So I go and I come back and Nate's like, hey, I saw a deer go up. And I'm like, well, what is it? He's like, I don't know. I swear I saw a deer go up. And I'm like, okay, well, do you want me to go check again? And he's like, yes, go check again. So I go over there and sure enough, I look in the cave. There's still a deer head. And the moment I saw a deer head, I go back to Nate. I'm like, he's still there. Long story short, we get back, Nate gets set up, and we look in there, and it is a 2-point. And it is not the same buck I glassed originally.
So the buck he's seen leaving was the big buck?
Yes, he saw the big buck we were about to kill walk out of the cave.
And little guy capitalized on the bed.
And then he came and sat in that bed, and we ended up passing that Forky. And then that was why I was telling Nate, I was like, see, I could have easily ridiculed them. We're like, see, I told you should have just weighed in and all this. But I told Nate, I was like, see,
it was a learning moment.
Yeah, I told you, I was like, I'm sure you already know what we did, like the mistakes of that. But just to make sure that you know, when I was telling you, like, hey, make sure we don't have optics glaring, like, I meant it with all the best of my intentions. It was not something to distract you. I didn't mean it to just have another thing worry in your mind, because I get it. You're already on the stock of a lifetime. There's already so many things going through your mind and so many things that could already go wrong. Wind shifting, you name it. And I was truly, with the best of my intentions, just telling you that, because that was the biggest thing I was worried about. And that just came from experience. I've lost animals because of that one mistake. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Nate being newer to the game, like I don't think he's ever lost an animal because of a sun glare. And he learned.
Yeah.
And so I bring up that example.
That scenario, you turn it into a teaching moment, but the ridicule and the browbeating is going to come through his own.
He'll beat himself up for it.
He's going to remember that for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. That'll take care of itself.
Yep. There's no merit that comes from just...
There's no good in the end of it.
Yeah, it's right? Like all you're doing is you come off very scummy, in my opinion. I think the weakest man is the man that beats another man down when that man is already down.
Yeah.
I truly believe that, And so that's why I just told him, like, I know you already learned it, but just to make sure you understood what I was trying to do, like, this is why I was explaining what it is. And, it's a mistake that you learn the hard way, but I don't think you'll ever make that again. So long term, there's a lot of good with it.
Yeah.
But that essentially is a list with some elaboration behind some of the things that I personally do as a hunting partner, and sometimes in the mentorship side of things. Like, I try to be educational. One thing that I do try to do is, I don't know everything, but if I feel like someone can benefit from something that I've learned in the past, I try to share it. Hence a podcast, right? Like I can't always show these things that I've learned through a video, but through a podcast, because we're elaborating, there's benefit towards it. But with that said, Austin, let's try to kind of wrap everything up and make it into a more streamlined, because I feel like we might have just kind of been all over the place, which I hope it hasn't been too hard to follow. But sometimes when you're having a conversation, you go with the flow, and that's where it is. So if you had to like wrap things up and just kind of go back towards what we've covered in this video, how would you wrap things up?
Well, I'm looking at it as the two parts of the equation. What do I want out of a hunting partner? And what do I need to be as a hunting partner? And really, those are kind of just reversing roles. You need to be that to your hunting partner, and they need to be that back to you. But I'm going to be looking for just that same common theme. Like, we have the same goals, we have the same interests, we have that camaraderie that works, and we have a lot of times the same belief systems or morals, or you fill in the blank with whatever, but you just want to be on the same wavelength. And then some of the key points: being selfless, being a team player, having your buddies back, being mentally strong enough if it's going to be that kind of a hunt. The mental fortitude is a big one. And being flexible, not being the guy who's to the point to where if you have a disagreement, you can't agree to disagree, because there's sometimes you're going to have to do that.
Yep.
And so all of those little things, I need to portray that, and I need that portrayed back to me. When you're able to be adaptable and be fluid, but your common goal between both of them are like, hey, I want to provide the best support, the best hunting experience. I want to do all of these things because that's what I want them to do for me. And then there's a simple rule we've all heard: do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Mm-hmm. That's the golden rule.
That's very simple. But man, if we all did that, the world would be a great place.
Yeah.
And so treat them like you want to be treated. Go the extra mile for them when the time comes, because there's going to be a time down the road where they're going to need to go the extra mile for you.
Yep.
Work just as hard when it's not your tag as when it is your tag. And we're talking about things that are both sides of the spectrum. Each half of that hunting partnership needs to do that. Perfect case in point is you go in on a 10-day hunt and tag out on the first day, and your hunting partner is solid and there for you and packs out your half of your animal, and then the texts from the wife are rolling in, and man, I'm missing 4 or 5 days of pay. Don't hit the ripcord and leave your buddy out there for the next 5-6 days. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Stay in till the last minute. Or don't make him feel so bad where like we call it halfway through the hunt because I can tell you're checked out. So just having that selflessness, like I'm going all the way. It's ride or die. We're riding the river together and we are here until it's done. And when you have that kind of a hunting partner, hold on to him. That's a friend for life.
Yep. No, that's so true because we were talking a lot outside the podcast. And so we're trying our best to kind of bring that into the podcast itself. The reason to add on to basically what you're saying is basically at the core of it, you should be the hunting partner that you want to have.
Yep.
And it starts with you.
Yep.
The other one that I do kind of want to touch on is, let's just give an example here, right? These are the groundworks that you should have set. And at the core of it, it comes down to putting the other person before you. You are always second, and it doesn't matter how it is. And it's kind of like what you said, treat others how you want to be treated, right? Let's give an example here. Let's do a real world example here.
All right.
Let's put ourselves in the shoes of the story you told. And let's say you shot that buck and you did not lethally hit the deer. He comes running by me and I smack him. He drops.
Yeah.
To me, personally, and this is oftentimes way easier said than done.
Sure it is, especially when it's a big animal.
Yeah, dude, you just dropped a 200-inch mule deer buck of a lifetime. You walk up there and your buddy comes over and your buddy shot at him first. Naturally, for me, this is how I would go about the situation. I always undergo the idea of whoever hit it lethally first.
Key word there.
Lethally first. Lethally. That's a key word. And when I say lethally, I'm not talking about lungs. I'm talking about any organ hit, including the stomach. Let me elaborate.
We're not advocating stomach shots as lethal kills, but they will kill that animal.
They will kill the animal at some point in time. Now, what I say by that is Austin shot this buck, and he just skimmed this buck by his bicep, and the buck comes running by me. And I just hammer him and drops him on the spot. Double lung, you name it. To me, I'm the rightful claim to that buck.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't there, Austin would never find that buck because that buck's not going to die.
Right. He's gone. He's in the next county.
In Austin's shoe, this is when you kind of have to suck it up and be like, yeah, I totally whiffed.
You have to own your mistakes. And I believe that again comes to that friendship where you're man enough to admit that, the humility part come up. And I'd be honest with you, I would say, look, Simone, I really think I hit that deer. Let's just look at him and see. Where did you hit him at? You're like, hey, I high-shouldered him and just dropped him, broke his spine or whatever. He's dead right there. Like, okay, well, I really don't know where I hit him. I took a moving shot, a walking shot. But let's just see where that other, maybe you don't even find a hole. Well, then there's no arguing there.
Exactly.
But if you do, like you say, fine, I skimmed him in the bicep, I better be man enough to say, man, that stings. That's a 200-inch mule deer. But congratulations, I'm here for you. Let's quarter this thing up.
Now, I'll go one step farther. The guy who has lethally downed the animal has the final say.
Absolutely.
So in that situation, if I come up there and I see, Austin skimmed this buck, and I say, Austin, I put the animal down and your shot was not lethal, but simply for the fact that you shot at him first and you actually hit him is your buck. I think that's completely okay too.
That's up to you.
But the point is, the decision is up to the guy that lethally put the animal down.
That's correct.
He can go about it as he wants. It's not about the outcome of that situation. It's simply who has the final say. I guess that's my main point here.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, roles reverse. It's the same thing. You would have the final say. If you said, you barely hit him, but you hit him.
But again,
and I just want to
we're
give you this.
talking about open communication, and this will segue into the next thing about pre-planning so there's no gray areas.
Exactly.
But real life scenario, I was hiking, jumped a deer, close range, and he just starts moving out of my life. This was when I was younger and dumber, and I took a shot I shouldn't have took, and I hit this deer way back in the liver, maybe front of guts. We trailed and blood trailed this deer through timber, and my cousin was with me, and I said, look, we need to have a conversation here because we're running out of daylight. We're trying to retrieve this animal. I don't want any animal ever to spoil. We luckily retrieved that animal, and he was dead when we got up to him. But we had this conversation, and I said, look, are you okay with this? Because I really want this buck dead. If you find him, or you end up getting a vital shot, put him down. And he's like, dude, totally. I'm here for you. We're going to pack this thing out. So whether I would have shot it or he would have shot it, say you got this gut shot deer, which was in this instance, we only had the one shot. I was the rightful owner of that deer. But in that scenario, you have that conversation in the field while you're blood trailing, and then you know, hey, if this buck bounces out of a bed and goes through dark timber and your hunting buddy has it and he's like, blasts that thing and claims it, or he's like, I ain't shooting that because I don't want to put my tag on it, and lets it run away, who won there?
Yeah.
Have these conversations.
Yep.
And have them really set these parameters, lay the groundwork before you hunt.
Exactly.
I'm a firm believer of spot it, shot it. Why? Because it creates incentive to get into the glass and to work.
Yep.
I don't like the whole left side of the road is mine, right side of the road is yours. You know why? Because I've been driving to a hunting spot and somebody who wants that says, hey, driver's side is yours and passenger side is mine, until we seen a big buck on driver's side, and then it became passenger guy's deer.
Yep.
That doesn't work. I don't like that scenario. He should have had that deer regardless because he spotted it. So in that case, I didn't really care because it was like, you've seen the deer. Yeah, it was on my side, but you're the one who blurted out these rules, and I'm like, that doesn't make no sense.
Yep.
I detest the odd and even days. In the exception of, say, you're elk hunting, somebody's calling somebody shooter, and you switch back and forth, and you work for each other, knowing that whoever harvests first then becomes color for the rest of the trip.
Yep.
You know, so there's these scenarios, but however I guess you don't have to do it like just the way that I would do it, but lay the groundwork, get clarity, get communication pre-hunt. You'll essentially avoid any of these things. And this is a podcast that's kind of weird because I've never really heard a bunch of this stuff dissected. But if you hunt long enough, I promise you, you will be in one of these positions at some point in your hunting career.
Yep. And these are talking about hunting partners. Some of these situations that we just brought up, sometimes it happens with somebody you don't even know.
And that's even worse.
Those are even worse. And those are the ones where it's like you really got to be the bigger person in that situation because very few people will give some of that stuff up. I mean, there's some really great people out there. They see a wounded animal, they put it down, and the original guy comes walking up, and they have no idea who each other are. And the guy's just like, you know what, you shot him first and give it to you, right? I think at the end of the day, a lot of people believe in karma. I don't believe in karma. I believe in God.
Yeah.
And I believe that he will truly bless you, those who are merciful, who are very charitable. Yeah. I truly believe that.
Well, you know, that I showed you the picture before the podcast of the buck that I gave away. It's on somebody else's wall. Look what I got after that.
Yeah, you got some monsters.
So do the right thing. It'll come back to you.
Again, it all boils down to do what you would want someone to do for you. If you are on the end of the spectrum where you're the one that finished the deer, but then if you were on the flip side and you're the one that, made a not perfect but lethal shot and walking up, how would you feel if that guy just said, no, that's my deer? How would you put yourself in the other person's shoes always? It's not just hunting. It's a lot of situations in life. I truly believe that doing the right thing is never the wrong decision. And the reason why we bring this up is because it's such a gray area. And sometimes what is the right decision? That's the real question that we're trying to get at here. But essentially what we're trying to do is we're highlighting it, bringing up the conversation, giving you guys our thoughts on it. Yeah. And then you really have to go and make that decision for yourself. And if you really just know that, no, those are things I don't want to do, then perhaps solo hunting might be for you because you won't have to deal with any of it.
That's right. Solo hunting, though, and I know this to be very, very true, is still a really harsh teacher because guess what? There's one person to blame when things go wrong.
That's you.
Yep.
So you're never off the hook.
Never.
Yeah.
You will be a student at some point in your life, and you just got to have the right attitude.
That's right, man. So to boil all this down, at the end of the day, what are we trying to look for? What am I trying to do, right? We touched on it, and I just want to kind of wrap everything up. Be a trustworthy person. Be teachable. Be humble about things. Be flexible. You don't always have to do things your way. If there's a little pivot you need to do, who cares? Let it slide. Be nice, And then the other one that I guess we didn't really touch on much that I wanted to do is be supportive. And the last one that we really skipped over is be positive. A positive mindset is everything. I've hunted with a lot of people where the only thing that comes out of their mouth is just complaining. And it just kills the morale.
Yeah.
It's just like the hunt is already so hard in itself, and all this guy over here is doing is just digging into that morale killer.
Yeah.
Be supportive of your partner, whether that's a mental when he's down or when he's in the middle of a stalk, or sometimes when he's just struggling with something where like he's just like, I don't think I can make it there. Be supportive. It goes a long way. It all boils down to, with all of those things, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Exactly.
I feel like we did a very elaborate.
Yeah, we went on and on.
We probably rambled on a little bit too long. This is probably one of the longest podcasts we have, but we just feel like it's a conversation that people need to have.
It's very, very relevant, especially to new hunters or hunters that are looking to try to find a hunting buddy. And you can save yourself a lot of grief if you air some of these things out, lay ground rules, and then even back it up a step before that. When you're trying to vet a person, if they're like, are we compatible? And you're going through the steps, find it out before. Talk about things, work through these things like that we've discussed previously in the podcast, and you'll save yourself some heartache.
Yeah,
and you might make a friend for life.
Yep, a lot of conflict can be resolved by simply just talking things out before things actually
communication, man.
Yeah,
it is key.
I really hope that this is an eye opener, because unfortunately, like, there are a lot of people, and I see this time and time again, where people don't have the luxury of a partner, and for whatever reason it is that they don't want to hunt alone, they often just say, hey, I just want a hunting partner, and they'll go on social media or a forum or Facebook, and they'll find people. And sometimes it works. I've seen some really good relationships come out from things like that, but it's not always the case. You might burn a bridge for absolutely no reason because you didn't know exactly, one, how to carry yourself, or look for a person that you feel like you're going to mesh well with.
Yeah.
You know, just spending time with a myriad of people, it's like you often get a good gauge as to how this person is going to mesh with you. And it's not necessarily one specific aspect. He might be a good partner for this one specific thing that you want to do. Another person might be better at whatever thing you're going to do, right? Like, I treat my front country hunting buddies very different than my backcountry hunting buddies, because there's different criteria that I'm looking at.
Yep.
And then that's why I'm saying, I think the ultimate hunting buddy is someone who's flexible enough to be able to adapt to whatever the situation or the hunt is at hand.
Yeah.
If the hunt's like a 10-day backcountry hunt, I want to be able to be physically and mentally there where I can accomplish this. I'm not holding my partners back. If the hunt's just a very laid back day hunt from the truck, I want to be able to match that energy to whoever I'm hunting with. And even though it's like, oh, I could go way farther than this guy or hunt way harder, it's like, no, just kind of tone yourself down, match his level, make sure that he's enjoying the hunt, right? And then at the end of the day, it's like, you should know what hunt you want to do. And then you should be able to dissect who you want to bring along with, or you're just going to be like, well, I think for this hunt, I might just be better off alone.
Yeah. I got a good scenario for this. The old saying is you attract more flies with honey or bees with honey than you do with vinegar. Make as many good buddies or friends as you can. But like you said, some may be a fishing buddy, some may be a front country buddy, some may be a backcountry buddy. But a good buddy is going to have your back no matter what scenario it's in. And for instance, I went on a solo bear hunt. This bear, I shot this bear, and I knew this was going to, I haven't told you this yet. I thought this was going to be the craziest pack out of my life. And I wasn't that far in behind a logging road, a gated logging road, so I had to hike in there. I called up a buddy of mine who primarily does front country hunting. He hasn't really gotten into the backcountry thing. And he's a good friend of mine. And he just doesn't do a lot of the extreme 10-day, 7-day stuff. But he's just an adult onset hunter getting into it. But he's a phenomenal friend, and he's a front country hunter. He's working on building that up. But I call him up, and I'm like, hey, I think I got at least 5 trips out with this bear. He's huge. And this is like 10:30 at night, almost 11 after I got this. I shot this bear right before dark on an opener weekend last year. And he's like, okay, well, I'm doing some front country bear hunting right now. I'm actually just getting to my truck and I'm going to drive home. He's like, I'll be there. So I sent him a pin. I got one load out to the truck, and then I was back on my second load, and I was putting more meat together and getting ready for my second trip out, and he hikes in with a headlamp. And I was like, man, that is good to see. We go out together on our second trip. So now we got loads 2 and 3 going out. Then we come back and we go back out together. We got loads 4 and 5 coming out. That's a perfect illustration of it doesn't matter. We were compatible in that moment because we've hunted together in certain front country illustrations. And I've even taken him on some lighter backcountry stuff to start getting his feet wet into it. And you know what? He paid it back tenfold that night because that was a lifesaver. I'm telling you, a 4-mile round trip for you to do 5 times turns into 20 miles, turns into a lot of work, and that bear produced an insane amount of meat. So I was very thankful that I didn't burn bridges and ridicule and spitefully talk about somebody's entry to hunting or whatever, because like, no, I'm going to build this guy. I'd like, this is a good dude. He's just not, we're like different levels, I guess, for lack of better, like I've just hunted more. But that is a perfect example of he was right there for me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more thankful for it.
Exactly. Because you found the right person for the right job.
Yep.
I guess at the end of the day, the illustration is different fish require different tackle.
Yeah.
You can have a tackle box of everything, but a certain fish requires a certain piece of tackle.
Yep.
Well, folks, we hope that this has been a very beneficial conversation. I know I benefited a lot just sitting here.
I love this conversation. I learned stuff, and you learn stuff the more about it as you talk about it and you think about things, and like, man, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And we hope that this starts a lot of good relationships and prevents a lot of bad relationships.
100%.
And so with that said, I just want to thank Austin for, again, getting on the podcast and providing his shop here. Again, if you're not on YouTube, like, go check it out. His shop that we're sitting in is pretty nice. So with that said, folks, you already know what time it is. We're going to wrap it up here. Jump into fast facts.
Yes.
And like Trivia Duel, Austin's got a fast fact for us. So I'm going to let him hit us.
This one is a really intriguing fast fact. And I stayed in the theme of percentages.
Okay.
And for deer. Take a guess. Nationwide, what's the percentage of 4-number margin from what to what of deer harvested annually are in velvet?
Is this a fast fact or a Trivia Duel?
No, this is going to be a fact. I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
But
you want me to guess first?
You don't have to guess. I'm just thinking, I'm just throwing it out. Food for thought. That's really hard for me to just even like.
So how many deer are shot in velvet?
Yep.
I'm going to say 6 to 10%.
This is from the data that and I don't want to name this company because this company's in the industry, and I don't want to get them blasted if people think they're way off. According to them, they say on a low year, less than 2%, and on a max year, less than 5% of deer harvested nationwide have velvet.
I kind of believe it.
It's just interesting to think about, huh?
Yeah, I feel like very few deer are shot during velvet because most seasons open when they're hard-horned or hard-antlered.
Most, yeah.
Most. So it's extremely rare.
And they say that this is due to the fact that most velvet opportunities are with a bow.
And bow hunting is hard.
Dude,
that's a cool fast fact. Whether it's accurate or not, it seems accurate from just me thinking.
I know it's accurate for me because I have 0.
Me too. So it's not accurate because mine's 0%. Awesome. Well, my fast fact, I guess, also has to do with mule deer.
Okay. My favorite species.
So a lot of times we shoot a deer and it's just a paint blood trail. We're like, oh, that animal's got to bleed out. Sometimes it's not true. A good rule of thumb is to consider, and this is from the Meat Eater.
Okay.
So this is from them. I'll name the company. A good rule of thumb to consider is that a deer contains about an ounce of blood for every pound of body weight. So for example, a 160-pound mule deer has about 1.2 gallons of blood. I bring that up because I just think it's interesting of how much blood is in a deer. So the next time you shoot an animal, you might, that's a lot of blood. Just understand, all right, relative to how much blood this animal might have, is it actually a lethal amount of blood that's being lost, or are you just getting excited that you shot something, but it's not lethal?
Yeah.
There you go. That's my fast fact.
I like it.
Yeah, about an ounce of blood per pound of body weight on a deer. Well, folks, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Austin has been a pleasure. I hope you guys enjoy these podcasts with him. I really enjoy it. Whenever I do a podcast with him, man, we just go overtime and just dive deep, which we appreciate. We don't have enough long podcasts. But, folks, with that said, we hope that the season has been treating you guys well. It's been a long season. But we're going to wrap it up here, and we will see you guys next Tuesday at 5 o'clock a.m.